What's up, everyone? We just want to say thank you for listening to the podcast and that this episode is sponsored by Straight Stoner, also known as the brand SS96. Shop today for t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. For listening today, you receive not 10, not 15, not 20, but 30% off. Yes, that's right, 30% off. Just use the code SWISHMASTERS today. Visit ss96.net and use the promo code SWISHMASTERS.
All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you at. How you doing? I'm sure you're doing good. This is Q the Guru, with my co-host.
The executive producer, but you know me as Zay.
Yep, that's right. Here, we bring you another episode of the Swish Masters podcast. Another episode. All right. Zay, yeah, tell the people what's going on today, man.
So today we're coming to you on Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to you all. You probably won't see this until after Juneteenth, but we just wanted to recognize the holiday. Just got passed a couple days ago as a federal holiday, and we just wanted to bring recognition, bring light to it, and say Happy Freedom Day. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for participating so far and leaving comments, liking the video, sharing it, subscribing. We appreciate it.
Definitely. Happy Juneteenth to you all. All right. So, Zay, let's get into it, man. We concluded the Western Conference playoffs, right? Well, the semifinal round, right? We both made some predictions, man. What was your prediction?
Boy,
let's remind the people what your predictions were. For that
round. My original prediction for the Western Conference semifinals had Utah and LA going 7 games. I think I was right on that one, but I did not have the Clippers going, man.
No, same here, man. I had the Jazz really, but the Clippers surprised us. My main thing was this: the Clippers had to show me, and they definitely showed me something with the loss of Kawhi, and to still win those games. If some of you guys don't know, Kawhi Leonard is definitely the best player on the Clippers roster. Even Paul George admitted so. So they lost their best player, and they still won. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, against a very, very, very talented Utah Jazz team, they were able to stick it out and take the series. I am very impressed, and I'm still kind of shocked to see that they were able to outlast the Jazz without Kawhi Leonard. And obviously, blessings to Kawhi Leonard. Hopefully he's healthy and doesn't have any major setbacks. Hopefully he's able to recover well. But shout out to all of the LA Clippers bench and all the role players that just came to play, man. Like you said, Paul George knows that Kawhi Leonard is the best player, and we all know that Paul George has had his ups and downs in the playoffs in recent years. But Paul George in Game 5 came out, had a huge game, 37 points, and followed that up in the next one. And surprisingly, man, closed it out. I'm very impressed. And like you said, they had to show us. And they showed us that they are more than just the Kawhi Leonard show.
And it showed that they're not just a franchise that cannot get to the Western Conference Finals. So shout out to them.
Yeah,
I believe it was 50 years or something like that, 51. So the thing is, the franchise has never been to a Western Conference Finals throughout its entire history of the franchise.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a different squad. I think Tyronn Lue got to be a difference because overall the roster is mostly the same. It's mostly the same. So shout out to Tyronn Lue. I'm very impressed with the Clippers. more. I think I'm. What are you? Are you more impressed with the Clippers? Or are you more disappointed in the Jazz?
I want to say that I'm more. I'm. This may not be fair, but I'm kind of disappointed in the Jazz. My thing with them, obviously, Donovan Mitchell went out with a hiatus injury. He was coming back from originally entering the playoffs, and then he kind of tweaked it when he came back. Mike Conley also went out with a hamstring injury. He didn't play. I think last night was his first game in this series. So obviously they got hit with some injuries kind of down the stretch. And that played a part in it. But also, you got Donovan Mitchell, man. He scored 30. He averaged like over 30 for the playoffs coming off injury. You got Rudy Gobert, the defensive player of the year, by the way, who in game 6 did not have a defensive player of the year type of night. And he also blew a 25-point lead. So there's a lot to be broken down by that Jazz team in last night's performance. I'm very much so disappointed in how that came out, because you had the tools to move forward and take this series back, and you let the shorthanded Clippers, no disrespect to them, because we got a lot to talk about with all those guys stepping up, but you let them take over, and you've had a great season. This is a disappointing way for it to end.
That, along with the reason why it's so disappointing to me, and again, props to the Clippers.
Props to the Clippers.
Like, for real, props to the Clippers. They proved me wrong. You know, I said in the previous episode, they had to show me, and it definitely showed me. But the reason why I'm more disappointed with the Jazz is because you were up 2-0. I got several reasons. You were up 2-0 in the series, first of all. Second of all, you had so many leads by the half and you lose it. And game 6 was the culmination, just everything. You're up 25 points. 25 points in the third quarter. You lose a 25-point lead.
That's crazy.
And you lose.
They were up 25 in the third.
Yes.
How? Oh, man.
I'm clearly more disappointed in the Jazz. And the fact that the lack of adjustments to what the Clippers were doing.
Yes.
Quinn Snyder, he's a great coach. But he should have adjusted somewhere in there and take Rudy out.
Or at least make Rudy guard the guy that's dropping like 39 points. Make him actually guard him, because if you looked at multiple possessions, Rudy Gobert is on the block. The guy that beat them last night, not the whole team beat them, but the guy that really beat them, pushed them over the edge to beat the Jazz was Terrence Mann. Shout out to him, career high, 39 points.
39.
Made Rudy Gobert look like a baby.
Man, I think everybody just saw last night how he was exposed as he's a. Now, this is another conversation on about the type of big that we have in the NBA nowadays. Rudy Gobert, he probably more successful back, maybe mid 2000s, or early 2010. Mm-hmm. He would have more success maybe, but this modern game requires you to not only defend inside, but have some perimeter defense, at least some decent perimeter defense. Rudy Gobert is known for his, paint beats inside, but he wasn't so great there either, because I don't know if you remember this, Reggie Jackson went at him twice in the important moments, and he was not scared. And he should My thing is this: you should have adjusted to account for the shooting. If you see Rudy Gobert is not quick enough, take him out. He clearly didn't have the lateral quickness, and he did not attempt to contest on some of those jumpers. He should have.
Yeah.
And that zone, adjust the zone. The zone's not working because the Clippers were picking apart the zone, and the same corner was open.
Right.
The same corner. The Clippers were doing that very well. And my thing is, if you're 25, you don't have to play zone like that.
Right.
You have a better chance, but the man up defense. You have a better chance of that if you're up 25.
Yeah. The way the league is now, man, like zone defenses aren't really effective against the NBA today because everyone can shoot. And if you aren't quick enough and able to contest, you're going to get burned from the three-point line. Majority of the points today come from threes now. Obviously, it's worth more, but there are way more threes taken. So trying to condense and create a zone defense to like shrink the paint isn't going to help when you got guys hitting threes. And then last night, man, just Rudy Gobert, obviously, like you said, is probably suited better for a different era of the big man back in early 2000s or early 2010s. But you got to at least give me the effort to contest. I saw multiple possessions where Terrence Mann was sitting in the corner by himself. I even saw one where he just like kind of like relaxed and reset himself and shot. No one contested. It's not just Rudy Gobert, but also Rudy Gobert was the guy that was assigned to this guy. And obviously it was because he wasn't making shots before, but he's making them now. And you are just like, oh, another one. Up, you made another one. Where's the adjustment? Why aren't you going out to contest? Where's the effort? I get it. He's not laterally quick. He can't keep up with guys really on outside of the paint. But you got to show me some effort. Run out there, contest it, put your hand up. Like nothing. He stood there on the block. And he's the defensive player of the year. He couldn't even like stop Reggie Jackson. No disrespect to Reggie Jackson. You couldn't stop Reggie Jackson from scoring a layup over you. You couldn't. Terrence Mann put back dunks on you, and you have no response. You just like,
yep.
I don't get it. That was just disappointing.
Yeah, he lost offensive rebounds. You know you're not supposed to go down. I mean, especially you being the big man.
Right.
The last thing you do is go down with the ball with all the guards and they can rip it.
You're 7'1".
So that was disappointing too. So if you're not out there collecting rebounds, you're not adding anything offensively to your team, and you're so enough not doing anything defensively. This is why I have problems with Quinn Snyder. If he's not doing that, he's being such a negative on the floor.
Yeah.
Why not take him out and try something else? Because they could. I believe he wanted to make the Clippers play to their style, but clearly Clippers are winning. You should have adjusted to them and stop them because you were up, right?
Right.
And you have enough depth to account for that because Royce O'Neal, he can be at the 5 because he's the one with all the hustle. He grabbed key hustle rebounds, so.
Yeah. It really, I guess, very disappointing for me because seeing how hard Royce O'Neal fought the whole game, seeing how Jordan Clarkson came out, gave a 21-point quarter, seeing how Donovan Mitchell left it all out on the floor, even playing through injury, Bogdanovich, all those guys like playing hard, but on defense, the whole team was just lacking. And like you said, as a coach, you have to make that adjustment. You have to make that call to see, okay, my best defensive player is not doing well against this dude. Let me switch my looks. Let me switch my play calling so I can like get our team back focused, reined in so we can try to get this game. And I guess for me, what was so disappointing was last night, obviously we know how great Donovan Mitchell is. And there was like a moment in the fourth quarter that you just saw the pain in his eyes. He went down kind of like tweaked his ankle, and obviously I know he was physically hurting, but I could look in his eyes and see like he knew at that moment we've lost our shot, and that's just like disheartening because he gave it 110%. He gave everything he could. He did everything he could. I can't be mad at him, and it's disappointing for those guys to have such a good season.
Yeah.
Having Donovan being just a superstar this year, Jordan Clarkson, 6th man of the year, played exceptionally. Rudy Gobert winning defensive player of the year and then deciding to not show up. It was just like it all blew up in their faces. So it's very disappointing for the Jazz.
No excuses either. They lost 4 games in a row after being up 2-0. So, no excuses. Kawhi Leonard was out 2 of those games. So you lost 2 games with the whole team. You lost 2 games without the best player on the floor. No excuses. Even though they had Mike Conley, they still were able to win those 2 games without him. So clearly you have it in you to win, especially if you can beat the whole team when it's at full strength, quote unquote, because Kawhi was playing when they won.
Yeah.
No excuses. It's just a lack of adjustments. Tyronn Lue made those adjustments. He made the adjustments to slow down Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
The Jazz did not adjust, especially when you see Terrence Mann going off. My thing is this, shout out to him. The Clippers shot, I believe, 74% from 3.
Yeah. They were getting
that tells you how well they were shooting, but that also tells you how poorly they were playing defense, because a lot of these threes were uncontested.
Yes.
And their coming to Jesus moment should have been if Patrick Beverly's making threes. I'm like, okay, that's it. Yeah, Patrick Beverly making threes. I was like, okay, that's it. That's the game. Because if Patrick Beverly's making threes and he's shooting it with confidence, I'm like, no, because I was like, yeah, it's over.
Yeah, man.
The whole team caught fire. So shout out again to Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann. He stepped up.
Yeah,
starting for Kawhi Leonard.
Shout out to Terrence Mann. Shout out to Marcus Morris, who also was a big piece. Shout out to Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard. Those guys all stepped up, man. And they said it before, like one person goes down or you go down a game, is next man up time. So that man did his thing last night. For sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed all the man puns. That was cool from last night's game.
Shout out to Mark Jackson, Jeff Van
Mark Jackson. Yeah, they're best commentators. Commentators.
Some of my favorites, for sure.
Definitely. Also, we also need to shout out someone who really deserves it. Because NBA's Twitter puts them down often. But shout out to Paul George. He really stepped up.
Definitely
in these last couple games. I think he really put to rest. I'm not sure the whole narrative is gone, but I believe a chunk of it is put to rest. Playoff P, or he was pandemic P, and I believe all those narratives are kind of put to rest a little bit because he showed out. He showed up.
Oh yeah,
and he played well.
Big shout out to Paul George, man. Yeah, he came, stepped up in Kawhi's absence, and that was a game 5, 37 points. This game, this most recent game, he dropped 28, 7 and 7. And obviously they were able to come away with a win, and a big win at that, coming back from 25. And obviously we've raved about Terrence Mann, but yeah, Paul George deserves that respect. I think that he is, and he's able to be this great consistently. I think it's just a confidence thing, and also seeing what he's been through. And I'm sure that last year in the bubble, we didn't really understand everything that was going on with COVID and all the like aspects of it mentally that it has on people, especially even like basketball players, because in a sense they're entertainers. You know what I mean? They are on TV. People look up to them and expect great things out of them. And sometimes that can be a lot to deal with on top of being who you are and having your own life outside of basketball or outside of entertainment. So shout out to him for really taking on the challenge, stepping up, delivering. And yeah, like you said, the Clippers have their first Western Conference Finals emergence ever.
And again, I don't know what the Jazz are going to do this offseason, but clearly changes need to be made.
Yeah.
Just put this in context. They lost last year to the Nuggets. The Jazz were up 3-1, and they lost that series.
Yeah.
You're up 2-0. You're the number one seed in the Western Conference this year. And you lose to the Clippers, who were without their best player for at least 2 games. 2 games you clearly could have won.
Yeah.
Definitely one of them. Game 6 should have won that game.
Should have won that game for sure. Yeah. I was kind of, I know I said it last episode that you can't really sleep on a team unless they're up like by 40. But, you know, being the number one team, being up 25 in the third quarter, you would expect that they would be able to like handle it, especially when they're down their best player and still figuring out the rest of the team if they can like fill those shoes and really come back and beat you, because now you even have another player that's very key to your core who came back from injury as well. So like you said, it's I don't know what's going to happen, and I hate to see people lose jobs and situations that work for them, but there's going to have to be some changes. There's going to have to be something that is done to rectify that mistake. So
yeah, the thing is, I'm very interested to see what they'll do in the off season. That could be
another crazy one.
Yes, that'll be in the conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were both wrong with that series.
Both were wrong.
We're both wrong. I'm okay with that. I'm
glad I didn't.
Props to the Clippers. Oh yes, props to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Oh.